Last question here comes from our good friend, Tyler Barizotto. He is working on a site that has a pretty bad mold problem. In California, mold isn't something that's regulated, so there's a lot of things that play into that cause issue for tenants and also the property owners. And we deal with affordable housing. This is something that's common in multiple unit sort of structures, whether it be a leak that seeps everywhere behind the scenes in the dark. He's just asking, is there law regarding this?
Oh, okay.
Is there procedure, protocol?
Right.
You know, what exactly would somebody need to know if, let's say, they have a severe mold problem?
That terminology, I think number one in our industry, terminology is key. So what someone considers a mold problem, another person may not. So if you're seeing visually, you're seeing mold growth in building materials, and let's say you're the tenant, our recommendation would be to talk to your property manager to have it assessed and identified and sampled for. Now, if you're the property manager and you're getting complaints about mold, one of the things that we would recommend doing is assessing it first and trying to figure out what the moisture source is and seeing if it's obvious in terms of what the problem may be. We always recommend fixing the problem first and then figuring out, what the next steps after that should be. So addressing the mold problem and assessing it from a moisture standpoint is the number one priority. And then from there, if there's other areas that have mold growth, generally the priority is to make sure that there isn't any health and safety issues for tenants that are still living there. And that you can assess by a visual inspection and air sampling and bulk sampling of any suspect materials. And that will tell you whether or not mold concentrations and what they are. Overall, there are suggested levels in terms of acceptable levels of mold. There is no standard per se, but there are guidelines on if something falls within this range, then it's quote unquote acceptable. The challenge is it's so dependent on environment, location, etc. Those ranges are so broad that they're not always sort of providing the direct response. So our advice is to have a company come in, do an assessment, make sure they have like an industrial hygienist that's kind of overseeing some of the recommendations. And overall, because of the fact that there are no mold regulations like there is with asbestos and lead, a lot of it's best not left to best practices and guidelines. And generally, remediation companies will follow the IICRC guidelines, and consulting firms and indoor air quality companies will follow various publications like the New York City Public Health. We have to make a proper reference to that. It's down below, but they have the sort of standard or the guideline that's usually used, but also in references in books like Bioaerosols and Indoor Air Quality Association sort of publications will document some of the best practices.
EPA has a good,
and EPA as well.
EPA has a very good sort of list of what you could do to prevent it, kind of how it'll affect tenants or yourself.
Right.
I think the best thing that we've seen working with our clients is that good ventilation. If there's fans not set up or they're damaged, that could be a problem because let's say somebody's taking a shower, the steam builds up. If there's no ventilation, that condensation builds up, has the potential to allow mold to grow. Some things that I've read or we've read about mold is that it grows in the dark with very little water, and it just takes a little bit of time for it to become a problem. So it's something that...
It grows in the dark?
It grows in the dark. In drywall. We've found it in drywall. We found it...
we had to check that.
It grows in the dark. It grows in the dark. Anyway.
I'm not arguing.
Yeah.
Let's not fight on camera.
But we've seen it in drywall. We've seen it in sort of plywood or porous material. And again, it's just water and time. And if it doesn't really have a lot of sunlight, it still has the ability to grow. So that's a little bit about mold. I would recommend our EPA. You can find a lot of.
And we have a couple links down below to kind of show you what our capabilities are, but also some reference guidelines on mold that I think you would find useful.
So those are the 3 questions that we got that we thought were going to be kind of a nice mix for you guys. Again, if you have any questions or comments maybe related to what we talked about past the video, feel free to send them to us. We'd be happy to discuss them or even just shoot you an email and address them to you personally. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be posting these every week.
Thank you.
Have a good one.